Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, people? Just me and Sling here for this one. A little bit different than our normal podcasts. This is going to be the Arsenal review. Sling, how you feeling?
Well,
not so great about the season.
Yeah, I mean,
a little rough.
Coming off our podcast earlier, feel pretty good about everything. Definitely going to be very interesting and kind of probably piss us off a little bit getting into our season review, but
yeah, probably not a ton of high ratings for the boys this year.
No, not maybe some sevens.
We are here late night recording this. It is currently 12:18 a.m. past midnight. Knocking it out. That's what we do for y'all.
Central Standard Time.
Flushing out content. All right, but let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Obviously, not a very good season for the Arsenal. We finished 8th for the second season in a row, except last season we won an FA Cup. We didn't win anything this year. Got knocked out of the FA Cup early. We got knocked out of the Carabao Cup by, I believe it was Manchester City. And then we got knocked out in the Europa League semifinals by our former coach, Unai Emery, that Mikel Arteta actually replaced. So that's great. Although at least he would beat United in the final. But yeah, so not a ton of positives, but there were a few, and particularly individuals. So let's just go ahead. Let's jump right into it. Let's get into our player ratings. We're going to start at the back, and we'll move our way up all the way to striker. First off, we're going to start off with Bernd Leno. What are you going to give him for the season? 1 to 10 rating.
Yeah. We'll go probably like an 8.
An 8?
A low 8. I mean,
holy shit, you're being generous.
Other than
that's what I'm saying though. But he had that bad run of form. I feel like you can't give him an 8 if you had that bad of a run of form.
Like a 7.5, only because
not halves. We have to do full.
Like a 7.
7, okay.
Only because, like you said, he did have that bad month, so I'll kick back a little bit for that. And other than, those few games where he's had those bizarre fuck ups.
Like just that stretch of like a month.
Yeah, he's letting the ball go through his legs, just wasn't stopping it.
Had a couple of like weird, like he probably should have made the save, but he didn't. Yeah. Like it wasn't like necessarily errors, but it's like you should kind of be doing better in that situation.
Right.
And yeah, he wasn't.
Other than that though, he's a guy like when he's on, he's like literally making Sports Center stops back there.
That's the thing with him. I think he's genuinely like one of the best shot stoppers around, but he has a mistake in him, unfortunately. And I don't really think his distribution is like that great. It's not his kicking, really. It's the fact that like we'll be building up out of the back, and he just like he slows things down for me. Like he's not quick enough with the ball. He doesn't get it and then slide it onto his right foot and release the pass quick enough. It just takes too long. That's my main gripe for him. I'd give him. I'm gonna have to go a 6. I don't think I can go anything higher than that after 5 is average. I think he was a little bit above average. So I'm going to go with 6. Matt Ryan picked him up from Brighton. Probably played, 4 or 5 games. Yeah. But I liked him in those 4 or 5 games. I'm gonna give just because he didn't play that much. I'm just give him a 6. I don't want to give him I don't want to give him higher than Leno just because he barely played. But I was impressed. I wouldn't mind if we try to get him permanently from Brighton as our backup goalie.
Yeah, I would have said 5 or 6 too, just because like you said when he came in, he honestly was not he's definitely not a bad backup keeper. Anytime you look to make a change back there, giving up a guy like Leno a break when he was having that bad form or run of form, it's nice to have a keeper like that who's pretty dependable in Ryan. So
Premier League proven, has experience.
Yeah,
was Brighton's number 1 for a few years until this season. So
yeah,
Alex Runnerson obviously played a few cup games before we loaned him in January, but what are you going to give him?
Like 4 or 5.
I think you're generous with that.
I don't even fucking remember seeing him on the field.
Dude, I remember him being bad. There's a few players I've watched at Arsenal before and been like, how the fuck did they make it to this club? He is one of them. I have no idea why the hell we signed him in the summer to be our backup, because he's not good enough to be a backup. And honestly, I feel like we probably have kids in the academy at goalie that are just as good, if not better than him.
Probably what they realize too.
He seems like a dude. He seems like a dude that maybe has some potential, but he's also 25 or 26. So, when are you going to show that potential? For me, Runnerson gets a 3. I can't give him anything more than that. He had like one good game. I think it might have been actually against Man City in the Carabao Cup, where he made a couple of nice saves, prevented goals, but every other performance he had was just it was like watching a high school goalie or a U18 goalie. So yeah, not very impressed with him. Moving on to the defense, we'll start at fullback. We'll start at right back. Actually, we'll go with Hector Bellerin. Um, I'll kick this one off. We'll just go back and forth on who uh, rates him first. But Bellerin, I don't. Dude, when I first started watching Arsenal back in 2015, he was like this really exciting young prospect, and he was a really good young right back. He was like 20 years old, really pacey, would just run up and down the pitch. He was kind of raw, but you could see like the talent there and just the athletic ability and everything. And he's gradually gotten worse, I swear, every single season. And now it doesn't help that a couple seasons ago he tore his ACL. It also doesn't help that I swear, ever since he went vegan, he's gotten a step slower every year. So I don't know if it might just be a coincidence, but I don't know if he should have gone vegan. But
I don't
yeah,
know why anybody want to do that. It's just
I
fucking
just
stupid.
yeah, Hector was not. He had a few like decent games every now and then, but overall for him, I gotta give him like a 4. He was not good this year.
Yeah, I would have said like a 4 or 5. I didn't rate him too high either this year. There are a lot of matches where I was wanting Cedric to actually start over him just
Hmm.
because Bellerin just didn't have it, and I thought Cedric was linking up better back there with Pepe out there at the right wing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I
I
never
didn't rate him
understood.
high at all.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that either because Cedric is not great defensively, but Bellerin isn't either, and Cedric is way better going forward. So yeah, that's I think we're both in agreement that he did not play that good this year. Speaking of Cedric, what are you going to give him for this season?
Mm. For like a 5 or 6, I think. Like a 5. I thought he was a pretty like average player. Like he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. He was definitely a step up from Bellerin at times there right back, but like obviously like you said, not great defensively. Uh, like didn't really add too much to the squad. I mean, just pretty like average defender back there.
So I'm gonna give him a 6. I think he had a couple of bad games when he was played at left back, and I don't really necessarily blame him for that. He's playing out of position. Now he did make that one mistake against Aston Villa that like no matter where you're playing at as a footballer, you shouldn't be making that mistake. But outside of that, I thought when he played on the right, like you said, he linked up really well with Pepe. He's a good crosser of the ball. He plays hard. He keeps going up and down the pitch the whole time. So I'm gonna give him a 6. I wish he would have played more. Honestly, if he would have played more, I could have maybe even seen giving him a 7. But he just didn't play a ton, and I can't really give him any more than a 6. Another right back, already our third, Calum Chambers came on at the latter, probably third, the last third of the season. Wasn't
Mm-hmm.
even really the last half; it was the last third of the season. In my opinion, I thought he played pretty well. He's really a center back, but he can play several positions. He can play right back. He's played that before with us in the past. He went on loan to Fulham a few seasons ago and was their player of the season, playing central defensive mid. So he's a versatile player. I like that about him. Um, you know, I'm I don't know if I want to give him the same score as Cedric because I feel like Chambers probably was the best when he played,
So higher.
but he's once again not. I'm gonna judge him on the games that he played. I'm gonna give him a 7 based on the games that he played. I don't want to judge him on games that he didn't play in. That'd be unfair on him. That's not his decision. It's Arteta's. I thought he played really well. I thought he only had like 1 or 2 bad games at that right back spot. He's obviously not great going forward, but ironically enough, he might be the best crosser we have out of our right backs. Like I think Cedric is a good crosser, but I think Chambers is just as good, if not better. One thing I like about Chambers is that he'll get a pass, and before even making a touch, he'll just whip it in.
Yeah.
Sometimes guys will take a touch and then set it up, but then the angle closes down and you're not able to cross it. I like how he's just getting ready to put the ball in the box. Now he's not naturally doesn't seem real comfortable playing like 1-2s with the winger and cutting inside if he has to, just because it's probably he's not used to doing that kind of stuff. So that's something that he probably needs to work on in the future. And I mean, I hope we're not in a situation where he has to be our starting right back next year. I hope we make a move in the summer, but I don't mind him. I thought he played pretty well when he did. I'm gonna give him a 7.
I'm gonna I'll give him a 6. I thought he's above average like defender, and the versatility is definitely there. So The 6 for
Someone
me.
useful to have in your squad.
Yeah.
All right, actually, someone that's on loan. He's on loan in at West Brom. Well, obviously the season's over, so he'll be coming back. But he was out on loan at West Brom. Was actually playing midfield for West Brom, but he plays right back for us. And that's Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Obviously, we can't really not going to judge him on what he did at West Brom. But how did you feel about him before he left?
It
In
was.
January is when he left,
I
obviously.
was indifferent. I mean, I thought there were some games where he came out and he looked really good, and then other games I was like, okay, like all this like transfer loan talk. I was like, maybe like it would benefit him to go out on loan this year. So I
I just
mean,
don't like how he went on loan and played midfield because
that's not where we're gonna play him.
he's not going to be a midfielder for Arsenal.
Yeah,
He's got to realize he's not technically gifted enough to play at a club like Arsenal in the midfield, and he's a really good athlete, and his spot should be right back, and yet for whatever reason he just is still hell bent. He's been like this for 3 or 4 years. He wants to play midfield, but I remember last season in the FA Cup he was brilliant at left wing back of all places,
yeah.
and I don't know why he hasn't just made that spot his own. Um, so what were you going to give him?
Probably a 6 too.
6. See, I'm gonna give him like a 4. I wasn't impressed with him at all. I was expecting big things out of him after the way he finished last season, and I thought he'd hit the ground running. He didn't play that great for me. One thing I don't like about him is that I don't know if it's actually he just looks like he just doesn't give a shit sometimes. Like he'll have his
Yeah,
head down, like moping around the pitch. I don't know if that's just his body language. It might be, but that just kind of irks me. And then, like I already said, I don't like you have a chance to. You came through the academy, and you have the chance to play for the club that you love, that you grew up playing for,
right.
a big club like Arsenal, and yet you're still hell bent on, oh, I want to play in the midfield. Take your chance in at right back or wherever it is, and just run with it. So I'm gonna give Ainsley a 4. I wasn't impressed with him this season before he made that move. Moving over to left back, we're gonna start off with Sead Kolasinac. Obviously, he like Ainsley Maitland-Niles was here for half the season,
Mm.
then made the move in January. Yeah, 3. I don't
I was gonna say
have
like
much else to
4 or
say.
3. I don't rate him at
I'm
all.
very. I remember he came over a few like 4 seasons ago. I think was in the team of the season in the Bundesliga at left back. I had really high expectations for him, and he started off like his first 10 games. I was like, "Oh my god, this guy's amazing!" And then he started to drift off, but he had like an overall like a decent first season. He's just gotten worse ever since. He doesn't know how to cross the ball, which is kind of a problem when you're a wingback or a fullback. You know, you kind of need to be able to cross the ball. He's not good at defending. He just tries to use his strength, which okay, you're just gonna end up fouling people. Yeah, he's not good enough for Arsenal Football Club in my opinion. So, what'd you say? If I said a 3. What'd you say? 3 or 4?
I'll say 3. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope we. I don't know if his contract runs out at the end of this season or next season, but I hope we find a way to move him
He
along.
needs to stay over in fucking Germany.
Yeah,
Where's
with
that right
Schalke that
now?
got relegated.
Yeah,
He
that's
was one of those
where.
people running from the fans.
Yeah, it was him and
The best thing,
Mustafi.
the best thing Kolasinac ever did for this club was fight off those robbers when he was in that car with Ozil
That's
last
facts.
season. The other left back. Now this is we've gotten to, in my opinion, one of the few bright spots this season. Kieran Tierney. What are you giving him for this year?
An 8.
8.
Future captain. He definitely showed it this year.
Yeah,
When he was healthy and on the pitch, he was a bad man.
I
I
would
mean, shit.
say when he was playing, he was our most consistent player.
Yeah.
But one of the problems with that is that to be a really consistent good player, you have to be available, and he seems to have an injury problem, which is a little bit worrisome because I genuinely think that when he's healthy, he's a top 3 left back in the league, and on his day is maybe the best left back in the league. And I think he's one of the better left backs in Europe as well. Like you said, he's a future captain for me. But the only thing I would say is that, you know, do you want to give the captaincy to a guy that maybe only plays half the games? That's where I kind of like. I'm a little. I'm a little. I don't know. I'm up and down on that. Not too sure. But yeah. When he played, he was really good. People kind of forget the goal that he scored against Benfica in that round of 32 when we needed 2 goals and it was in like the 70th minute. And he got a beautiful goal, rifled at far corner that got us back into the game. And then obviously Aubameyang scored in like the last few minutes to put us through. But he brought us back into that game. I love the way he plays. He always plays really hard. He plays with passion. You see him like telling guys where to go around the pitch. So yeah, future club captain for me as well. I'm gonna give him an 8 too. Moving on to the center backs this season. We are going to start off with let's start with David Luiz. Obviously, he finished up his career, finished up his short career, only 2 years here in North London. He's moving on to. Haven't actually said where he's moving on to, but he will be moving on. His contract ran out. We're not re-signing him. Obviously, he's like 35 years old. I think.
Fucking retirement home next.
He's.
Jesus.
I'm giving David Luiz a 7 this year. I thought that
That's fair.
I thought that he was good this season. I would not have been upset if we gave him an extension of a year. I thought that maybe he was our most consistent center back. I remember his first season for me, he was either really good or really bad because he had like 7 or 8 games his first season last year where he just would make the dumbest mistake you'll ever give away a penalty or give away a red card. I think he might have only had 1 or 2 of those games this year, which is like not that bad. I mean, you're going to make mistakes, obviously, as a professional footballer. I thought he put in a lot of good performances. I thought by far best center back duo was him and Gabriel, and I think you could see when David Luiz wasn't in the team, Gabriel wasn't as cool and calm and collected. He didn't seem like as safe with somebody else at his side compared to David Luiz. So yeah, David Luiz for me a 7. I appreciate the 2 years that he put in for the club. Seemed like a good guy in the locker room. And yeah, like I said, I wouldn't have been upset if we re-signed him to another extension for 1 year. But yeah, I think honestly, when he played, probably our most consistent center back this year.
Yeah, I'll give him a 7 for that same exact reason. I mean, given like the play of our other center backs this year, I mean, I thought he was the most consistent. He's definitely the best.
And I think him getting hurt at the end of the year hurt us in the Champions or not. I wish we were in the Champions League, but in the Europa League, we missed him against Villarreal.
Teams were definitely they weren't afraid to come on us, attack us. Or
yeah, well, because that's one thing that he was really good at is that play out of the back. He's a really good passer of the ball, by far our best passer at that center back position. And I think that sometimes we even relied on him making that big pass switch across the field that started our attacks. And I think we really missed that in the Europa League. It might have been a different story if he was healthy.
Yeah.
Moving on to Gabriel, he's another one of the bright spots for me. I thought that he was really, really good like the first month or 2 of the season, and then he got that red card. I think it was a really nitpicky. He got 2 yellows. I thought the first yellow was not a yellow. The second was, to be fair, but I thought the first wasn't a yellow. But he got sent off, and then he was out for a few games, and then he got COVID and was out for even longer. He came back from COVID, wasn't playing that great. And then to finish off the season, the last few months, I thought he's been really good again. I think he's a strong, dominant center back. I think he's the type of center back you have to have. He's not according to FIFA, because FIFA for some reason has him like 52 pace.
They don't rate him high at all.
He has like 52 pace on FIFA, and I've seen this dude run down Jamie Vardy, and I've seen him run down Zaha against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, he's just a big athletic motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a real big athlete. He's like 6'3". He's strong in the air. Scored a couple of really good goals. His goal against Olympiacos in the Europa League was a brilliant header. He's another one. Like looking back on it, why didn't he play against Villarreal? Because we were struggling to break down Villarreal. You get a set piece and send him up there. He can get you a goal. A header. I think he scored 3 or 4 goals this season, which is pretty decent for a center back. And yeah, I thought he had a strong first season, a bright spot for me. I think he's only like 23 years old. Obviously, one for the future. I'm gonna give him a 7 as well, same as David Luiz. But
I don't know if I'll give him a 6. I don't know if I can.
That's harsh. That's harsh. So? I think it is. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna go 6 just because I don't think he was quite at the same level as David Luiz this year, but
I'd say I don't think he was as consistent as David Luiz.
No,
but when Gabriel was on, he was our best center back. He was better than whenever David Luiz. When Gabriel at his best is up here, and David Luiz is like up here. But when you talk about consistency, he probably they kind of even out.
It's a 6, but it's a strong 6, and I definitely feel like I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him build off of this year because he did look like a pretty well defensive player, and I mean the athleticism is definitely there. I mean if he can just keep developing, put together, he's going to be a strong defender for us.
Yeah, I think he's just a guy. He's the kind of center back that in today's game, especially in the Premier League, you kind of have to have. Right. You have to have that center back that can run with strikers and has the pace to keep up with them. And then if he makes a mistake, he has the athleticism to make up for it and get back. Let's move on to Rob Holding. What are you going to give him for this year?
Maybe like 5. Pretty average guy. I mean, not like a regular starter. I think
Kind of became one though near the end
yeah,
of the
at the end
year.
of the year, like injuries and all that kind of came in there. But just like an average defender back there, and we started, looking worse defensively once he started coming up. So I mean,
Yeah, I think that might have had to do more than with David Luiz, to be fair, but him being out,
didn't help.
I don't. I think Rob Holding is what he is. I think he's a solid, okay squad player. He shouldn't have to be a starting center back for your club, but I'm okay with him being the fourth center back, the third or fourth center back. I'm all right with that. Um, yeah, I mean, I thought he had some good games and some not so good games. Uh, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 5 too. I thought he was pretty. I thought he was just okay.
Bang average.
Yeah. Pablo Mari. Uh, Obviously, this was his first full season with the club. We signed him in. Actually, we got him on loan in January of last season, and then made the loan permanent this past off season. He came in for Gabriel, kind of when Gabriel was out, and then when he was going through his kind of a little bit of a rough stretch of form. I thought he was all right. I think he's kind of similar to Rob Holding. You're not going to get anything great out of him, but he's also not going to be bad either. I think once again he's okay as a backup, but he's not a guy good enough to be starting. I'm gonna give him a 5. I'm gonna go 5, just like Rob.
I'm gonna go 4 or 5. Like another middle of the pack guy. I mean, didn't really do much to impress me. So
Yeah, it's not really gonna impress you, but he's also not gonna like make the mistake that loses you the game.
yeah.
All right, moving on from center backs. Let's move into the midfield. We'll start with the holding midfielders, or I guess you say I don't know if they're dual 8s. I don't know if they're dual 6s. They're the double pivot in the midfield. We'll start off with Danny Cevallos.
God damn it. I'm gonna go an 8. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going. If we're talking about like Premier League,
We're saying just the whole season. Evaluate him on every game he played.
if like okay, just altogether like a 4, just because I feel like his Europa showing like outing,
Yeah,
absolutely
horrific,
terrible, horrendous.
It was like he genuinely wanted us to lose.
Yeah,
those games.
he literally tried to sell the fuck out of us. I mean,
I
he was playing for the other side. I don't even want to talk about him.
I like totally agree with your rating. I'd say besides the Europa League, he was probably like a 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But the Europa League, he was literally a 1 or 2.
So
And you have to kind of meet in the middle. I read a stat where he made 4 errors in the Europa League, leading to other teams' goals, and he had 0 goals and 0 assists. So basically, he just gave other teams 4 goals and didn't give us any. I thought in the Premier League he was all right. I thought he was a solid guy you could put in there if like a Jacka or a Partey needed a rest. But he was so bad in the Europa League. Honestly, if you would have asked me in January if we could have kept him full time, I would have taken him. Not as a starter, but buy him for 15 million, keep him as a squad player. I would have taken it. I wouldn't even pay 5 million for him now. Let him go back to Real Madrid. He's not going to play at Real Madrid. He might make a move to like a Real Sociedad or a Real Betis in Spain, but I think that might just suit his game better. That more flair style, technical style. Because as much as I say he didn't play bad in the Premier League, he wasn't really good either. I think he just lacks physicality. He's not fast either. He really doesn't have any pace. I just think he wasn't fit for this for this team, and I was excited. I thought he did some really good things his first season, especially near the end in that FA Cup run. And I was hoping he'd take that next step forward this year, but I think he took a step or 2 backwards. So yeah,
huge step back.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with a 4 as well. And the only reason that's a 4, it could be like a 2 or 3, but the only reason it's a 4 is because I thought he was okay outside of the Europa League. Mohamed El Neni. You get what you get from Mohamed El Neni. He's gonna play hard.
Absolute bangers.
Yeah, that's true. He's gonna play hard, and then like twice this season, he's gonna score an absolute banger, like world class goal. And if you only judged him off of his highlight reel, you think he's probably one of the best midfielders in the world. But yeah, Mohamed El Neni, he's solid. He comes in, does a job. He never complains about not getting playing time. That's one thing I like about him. He's the kind of guy you need in your squad. Someone that's going to put their head down. They're going to work when their time is called. They're going to give you a solid 6 out of 10 performance. It's never really going to be a 9 or it's not going to be an 8 or 9, but it's also never really going to be a 3 or 4. So you get what you get out of him. For him, I'm going to give him a 6. I thought he had a pretty decent season.
Yeah, I think 6 is very fair, considering the fact that like he's one of those guys. First off, like he's one of those guys that just like genuinely seems to be happy
Yeah.
like at the club, like his attitude and everything. Like you're talking about how like Maitland-Niles like doesn't seem to like really carry himself very well. I
Hmm.
think that one of the things that our boy Mo here did really well was he carries himself well. He's always like smiling and stuff,
Yeah.
like always getting super hyped after goals and everything. Always just genuinely happy for like his teammates and all. So I mean, and then like you said, just a guy that comes in and he's a workhorse when he's on the field. So you know what you're gonna get out of him. So I think a 6 is fair.
Yeah. Let's move on to Granite Jacka. What are you giving him this season?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 7.
7.
I think that's more than fair. Um, that's not a bad 7. I thought he had a great season. Definitely one of our most consistent players.
I think
Probably,
he's very similar to David Luiz. Like people hate on him,
but he's very
but
consistent.
he like in the past, Granit Xhaka has done some stupid shit just like David Luiz. Except this season, he didn't do it that many times. I remember obviously the Burnley one that was awful,
Yeah,
and then he got like a dumbass red card in one other game. But those are like the two games I can remember that he had a shit show. But then every other game was like solid performances. So yeah, um, I agree with your 7. I'm gonna go a 7 too. I think there's a lot of people out there that are like, "What the fuck? How are you giving a 7? He's shit. He's a 4 or 5." But
no,
I think you
it's kind of
see how valuable he is when he's not in the team. I feel like he's really good. He's like the guy that links our play from the back to the front.
right.
And I think that's valuable. Now, is he replaceable? Yes. It's not like he's an irreplaceable player, but right now for this squad, I think that I thought he had a pretty strong season.
I mean, if you think we sound crazy, just ask Jose Mourinho, who literally said like if you take him away from Arsenal Football Club, like they're nothing. Which I mean,
Yeah, well, fuck Jose. He just wants
I
to
mean,
take the
fuck
piss out of
Josie,
us.
but also like I mean that just shows you like how high like managers out there rate Xhaka. I mean, he's kind of not wrong. I mean, hell,
All right, what about Joe Willock? Obviously, he played. We're
I
not
mean
going to judge
that's
him
a
on
10. I
based
mean,
on Newcastle. It would be a 10. We're going to judge him on what he did here
um,
before he left. I thought that he was very average, to be honest with you. I honestly thought he maybe wasn't even average. I thought before he went to Newcastle, I thought he'd go to Newcastle, play all right, and we'd sell him for 10 million in the
yeah.
summer. But he's gone there and played really, 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 really well, and now we could get a decent figure for him, or bring him back and let him, try and replicate his success with us. But if I'm judging him only on what he did for Arsenal this year, I'll give him a 5. I can't give him anything higher than that. I was tempting to give him a 4, but even though I said don't judge his Newcastle part, I don't want to give him anything below that
Yeah,
just because of how
I'm
good he
not even
was
gonna
with
lie. I
Newcastle.
probably I probably went with 4 too, but just the fact that he went to Newcastle and won Premier League Player of the Month, like
Yeah, this past
ridiculous.
month.
That's ridiculous. Like,
I did not see that coming at all. I genuinely thought that he'd go to Newcastle and do okay, like do decent. He'd get a good run of games, score a few goals, but the motherfucker scored like in 8 straight games.
yeah,
Basically, I don't want to say single-handedly kept them up, but he damn near single-handedly kept Newcastle up. If you actually look at the points that his goals scored, uh, his goal uh, his goals scored like added up to a tally of points that if they didn't have those points, I think they would have either been relegated or like only would have survived by 1 or 2 points. So he was the difference
so
in their season, and Newcastle fans really, really want him to be signed permanently. All right, our last midfielder, or our last holding midfielder, our last number 6, and those dual pivot spots. Thomas Partey, the big money signing,
hmm,
had a lot of hype surrounding him.
God,
Yeah, how'd you think he? What are you giving him for this season?
it's hard to rate him high after what I thought was kind of like a disappointing arrival. I mean, like you said, a lot of like a guy who's definitely highly rated coming in, a guy who was really hyped up, big money signing, like you said. I'd probably go a 6. I mean, I just feel like, I mean, first off, the long shots out of the box that he couldn't even put on target, like that was so fucking ridiculous.
And then randomly in the last game of the season, he like was beautiful shots over and over again. Had
Yeah,
that one amazing shot that would have been one of the goals of the season, but it hit the crossbar. Um, yeah, Party. I kind of agree. I think honestly, if we're being real, if we bought him for 5 million, I would probably say an 8 because he showed me a lot of times during the season. He just has like these weird, like these really small and subtle things where he'll have a guy on his back hip, and he'll receive the ball and just turn him and just leave him in the dust, and then pass the ball forward. And it's like right when you see that, it's like okay, that might seem really simple, but it's not. That's something like only high caliber players can do to do that under pressure and then make the pass forward too. And you see his quality at times, but I think number one, injuries hurt him. It was hard to get a run of form because he'd only play 5 or 6 games at a time before getting hurt. Now he did finish out the season with probably 20 consecutive appearances without an injury. So hopefully that is that little hamstring problem that he had going on. Hopefully that's done with, and he can really kick on next season. But yeah, I'm gonna give him a 6 as well, just because I think he has higher standards than some other people, and I thought that he was, for him, he was a little disappointing this season. But I still think he's a really good player, and I think he's someone that we can build that midfield around going into the future. And I fully expect him to have a good second season.
For sure.
Moving into that number 10 spot, let's start. Basically, two guys that came into the team in around January. Let's kick it off with ML Smith Rowe. Yeah, when I talk about bright spots, he's right up there at the very top. He was really good. We were absolute ass cheeks during that Christmas period when he came in. Remember, he came in, randomly was started in the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
And obviously, we ended up winning that game 3-1. That was, I think, either the day before. It was either Christmas Eve or Boxing Day. I think it was Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. And he's just stuck in the team ever since. He's had some assists. He's had a few goals. He's a really good runner with the ball. Like, he progresses the ball forward. He'll dribble past guys. He's like surprisingly athletic. He's got a good turn of pace to him. Still only like 20 years old. He really surprised me because I remember watching him in seasons past couple of seasons. He played in like the Carabao Cup or the Europa League, and I was like, okay, he's a decent little young player, but it's not like he's going to hit the ground running right now. And then randomly, when Arteta brought him into the team in January, I think he's been one of our best players since. And honestly, I think if he played the whole season, he would really be up there for player of the season, in my opinion. But just because he didn't play the whole year, I think it kind of hurts his case. But I'm going to give him an 8 for this season.
8. I'll give him a 7, but it's a strong 7. And
you just hate on these people. You hate these players.
It wasn't. Wow. It's not that I didn't think that he was wasn't good or anything. I thought he was. Obviously, it's a strong 7. I just think that
you're giving the same rating as Granite Jacka. I know Jacka was decent this year, but he wasn't as good as ESR. Yeah, so Smith Rowe was consistently better.
I'm going to stick with my 7. I'm out when you bully me out of this.
Go ahead and bully Sling in the comments for me. Or add us on Twitter and say Sling is an idiot.
7.5.
No, we don't do halves. Sling gave him a 7. That's just gives a 20-year-old that comes in and takes us from like 15th to 8th, which is obviously not where we want to be, but we climbed up 7 spots on the table. We got to Europa League semifinal, and it had a lot to do with ML Smith Rowe, and he's only given him a 7, so that's just fucked up.
Well, he had some help. Okay.
I mean, you can say that, but that help was there before he got in the team, and they were ass. They were 15th.
That's true.
So, the other number 10 also came in January on loan. That is from Real Madrid, Martin Odegaard. What are you giving him this year?
Fuck. Just off of the late, I guess, run he had, because I mean he had the injury when he came back. He wasn't exactly.
Yeah, he was really good when we first got him.
Yeah.
Then he had the injury, and when he came back, he wasn't that great. But then he finished the season strong again. So maybe it was just a fitness issue.
Fuck. Okay, you know what? I'll let you bully me out of this one. I'll give Odegaard a 7, and I'll give Smith Rowe an 8.
All right, I was going to say a 7 as well. I thought Odegaard was good. I'd want to get him back, whether it's on loan or if we buy him. Now, don't go pay $50 million or whatever for him, but if we can get him for maybe $30 million, I'd be cool with that. I remember we were saying a couple months ago, pay $50 million for him.
Yeah,
might have been a bit of an overreaction back then, but
yeah, I don't know about that.
I think he's a quality player, and I think people also forget he's still only 22 years old, so he's a young player and captain of Norway. He seems to be a leader out on the pitch. So yeah, I like him. I definitely want to see him again in Arsenal colors next season, whether it's on loan again or if we can get him permanently. So yeah, 7 for me as well.
I couldn't put him and Smith Rowe both at 7. I didn't think that one through.
All right, let's move on to the attack. We'll start at winger. Let's kick it off with Reece Nelson. I don't.
But
It's kind of hard to rate him. He barely played. He played at the beginning of the season a little bit, like in the Carabao Cup, FA
like a
Cup, Europa
four,
League. Um, yeah,
four, maybe even three.
I'm gonna give him a 4. I know he was lacking opportunities, but there is a reason you're lacking opportunities because you haven't been that great on the training ground. And when he played in those games, I wasn't particularly impressed with him. I think his final ball is like really poor. I think he's a guy that you can see like when he dribbles the ball and like his athleticism, how quick he is. He has potential, but it just never came about. I remember um, it was 3 or 4 years ago when he was like 17. We were in a preseason tour in Singapore, and he was playing against PSG and Atletico Madrid, and he was like running the show as a 17-year-old. And I was like, oh my god, this guy's going to be amazing. And he's just not really done anything ever since then. And yeah, I don't know what his future lies at Arsenal, if it lies at Arsenal at all. But yeah, he gets a 4 this season for me as well. Willian, Willian,
Fucking -6. Holy fuck, I hate that motherfucker.
real rating. What are you giving him?
I can't put him below fucking Reese Nelson. That's yes, I can.
Yes, you can.
I'll give him a 3.
Willian has way more expectations than Reese Nelson.
I'll give him a 3.
Yeah, I'm giving him a 2. And the only reason he doesn't get a 1 is because he did like stats wise, he did have like what 7, 8 goal contributions. So
yeah, he had like 1 goal,
one goal and like 6 assists or something like that.
5 assists.
So I'll give him a 2. Yeah, he's just a total disappointment.
7 total.
I'm gonna give him. He's just a total disappointment for me. I expected him to come in, and I didn't want him to be a starter, but I expected him to come in and be a solid role player off the bench, or if somebody got injured, he'd come in and do a job. And yeah, he just was really really bad this year. His best game was literally the first game of the season, and then he had like maybe 2 good games and 35 appearances after that. So it looks like he might want to leave, and please God leave.
Get the fuck out.
I know.
Pack his bags and I heard what he wants to go back to Stamford Bridge.
There's no way in hell Chelsea take him back. Maybe as a coach or a fucking like I don't know, somewhere in the backroom staff, but they are not taking him back as a player. I'll tell you that.
I thought that was funny seeing that. I was like, dude, I will fucking pack his bags.
He needs to go to Inter Miami, go play with David Beckham's team, go play in the MLS. You'll be good in the MLS. So
yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, Willian probably one of the worst players this season. Definitely the biggest disappointment in my opinion. Gabriel Martinelli. Uh, Someone that was recovering at the beginning of the season from injury. He came back, I think it was like maybe November or so, played a couple of games, and then randomly for like a few months barely played at all, would just every now and then get a cameo off the bench. I thought he finished the season really strong, scored a couple of goals, looked lively every single time. He's a guy that when he gets on the ball, you just kind of think something's going to happen. He's very direct. And yeah, he's got that. He's kind of got that hunger. I like the way he plays. Um, yeah, I'm gonna give him a. I don't want to judge him on when he's not playing. I'm gonna judge him on when he played. I'm gonna give him a 7. I thought he was good when he played, and he's someone that is very exciting for the future.
Yeah, I was gonna rate him a little bit lower than that just because he kind of lacked opportunity, but then I kind of realized like you can't really like blame him.
Yeah,
I mean, can't fucking put himself out there on the pitch. Like Arteta's one set the lineup. So for like what I saw, I mean, he was one of my favorite players to watch this season when he was on the pitch. So for that, I'll give a 7 too.
All right, Bukayo Saka. What are you giving old Bukayo?
I go an 8.
8.
That's fair. Definitely one of our. I mean, probably our best player this season. 5 goals, 3 assists.
In the league
alone. So I mean that in itself is pretty impressive at such a young age. I mean for the most part of the season, I mean he's like carrying the weight of the whole team on his back. So yeah. I mean,
I thought that first half of the season we probably would have been in relegation spot if it wasn't for Bukayo Saka. He was really carrying the team. But I will say the last month or 2 of the season he kind of fell off. I think that probably has something to do with the fact that he played like 50 games at 19. There's no reason in hell a dude that age should be playing that many games for a club like Arsenal. I think he got burnt out. I think he just ran out of energy. Got tired. I think that this summer will do him a lot of good. I expect him to hit the ground running at the beginning of next season. If we were only basing off like the beginning of the season, I probably would give him like a 9. But I will say he didn't finish the season too strong, so I'm agree with you. I'm gonna give him an 8. But yeah, definitely a really good another one of those bright spots. We have a lot of good young talent, as bad as the season was, we finished 8th. We do have some exciting young talent that gives you at least a little bit of hope for the future. All right. Our guy, Nicolas Pepe. A guy, in my opinion, that gets a lot of undeserved hate. He gets hate because he costs 72 million pounds. He didn't ask to be. He didn't ask to cost that much. I believe I said it last podcast. I know I tweeted it, but I believe I said it last podcast. He's a really good 40 or 50 million pound player. Like, is he 72 million pounds? No, but he's a really good 40 or 50 million pound player, which is valuable in every single team. He scored 16 goals this season across all competitions, had 5 assists, 21 assists. I believe that might have been actually our most goal contributions from any player. I know Lacazette had 17 goals, but I don't think he had very many assists. Pepe also earned a few penalties. Those don't obviously show up on the stat sheet either. But I thought the last few months of the season, he was our best player. It just makes me wonder with him, why the hell was Willian playing over him for so fucking long in the beginning half of the season?
Yeah,
that's on
really
Arteta. In my opinion, I think if Nicolas Pepe is playing in those games, we might have been challenging for a top 4 spot because he could have made the difference. We finished, 6, 7 points off top 4?
Yeah.
If he was playing in those 15 games over Willian, he could have made a difference of 6 or 7 points. That's what he is. He's a match winner. Even when he's not having a good game, he's that kind of guy that will just get the ball and dribble past someone and then curl it up into the top corner just out of nowhere. He's the kind of guy that just will create something out of nothing every now and then for you. And I thought that, he finished the season really, really good. I'm gonna give him an 8 this season. I'm really excited for what he's gonna do next year.
I'm giving my boy a freaking 9. Simply because of how much fucking shit, unnecessary shit he got from all these stupid fucking fans.
Wait, if you're giving him is he your player of the season then?
Let's get there.
Well, I mean, he's your highest rated player so far.
Okay, because I'm just kidding. Honestly, no. For me, it's more of just like a fanboy kind of a rating there, just because of the fact that like he got a lot of like unnecessary shit all over Twitter. Logan can tell you, I was constantly defending him. Like, there's no fucking reason that all these fans should give him all this hate. Like, as much as he contributed to the squad, like the fact that he gets just ripped apart, and then guys like I don't even know, like Willian.
Well, they ripped Willian apart, to be fair. But like Aubameyang, we'll get on to him.
Yeah, Aubameyang.
But he was way worse this season, and yet you'll see more Pepe hate than Aubameyang.
Exactly. So I mean, an 8 probably more so is like a more reasonable rating, but I'm giving him a 9 because fuck all those bitch ass fans who had all that shit to say about Pepe this season.
All right, let's move on to the strikers. Speaking up here, Emerick Aubameyang, what are you giving him for this year? Our captain, club captain.
Like a 6 or a 7.
Oh my, no, chill. Please chill.
I'm going with a 7.
Please chill.
I am. I thought he was really disappointing this season.
Yeah, so why are you giving him a 7?
I thought you were saying like that's a bad thing.
No,
like, oh my God,
like for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to only have 15 goals across all competitions this year, that is because to be fair, we have to judge them based on their expectations too. Like I don't judge Aubameyang on the same level as I judge like Nketiah for
so
example.
How low are you going for Aubameyang?
I'm giving Aubameyang a 5. I don't want to give him anything crazy bad, but the dude has been very, very good for us for 2.5 seasons. And then this season now I think some of it has to do with the fact his mother was ill, so that affected him. He got malaria, obviously, near the end of the year. He just didn't look like his normal.
He did have a really bad year on the pitch.
He didn't look like his normal self. He's normally a guy that's kind of like El Nini, that's always smiling and then has a good attitude. And I did notice this season he just didn't really seem to be that happy for whatever reason. I think maybe there's a chance that the weight of the armband might be too much for him, and maybe he should pass it on to somebody else. But for me, I set Aubameyang standards very high. He's a guy that finished second in the Golden Boot race his first full year. He tied for first his second full year, and then this past year had 10 goals in the Premier League. I mean, it says it all. He is like 32 now, so he is losing a yard of pace probably, but he still is pretty fast, and you don't lose your ability to finish off chances. And I just didn't think he played very well this season. He gets a 5 for me. I can't give him more than a 5.
Yeah.
You sticking with a 7?
I'll go with 6.
Okay.
Can't give me anything lower than a 5. Like a 5. Anything lower.
All right. Eddie and Kedia. What are you feeling for old Eddie?
I want to give him a fucking 3 just for that
Celebration.
That bullshit celebration
When we were drawing with Fulham.
Yeah.
God, dude.
So I think I'll go with like a 4. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I'm not rated too high.
For whatever reason, this is another like weird thing. Arteta was starting him over Lacazette early on in the season.
Yeah, I don't.
Once again, maybe if you start Lacazette in those games, maybe we're fighting for top 4. Arteta made some dumbass decisions this year. Now that I look back on it, but yeah, in Kedia, it's just. I think he could go to a team like maybe Crystal Palace and do all right.
Easily.
But all he is a fox in the box. That's what he is. He tries to get on the end of crosses. He has pretty good positional sense, but he's not a good footballer. If you know what I mean, like he doesn't have a good touch. He's not gonna turn and leave someone in the dust. He's not gonna create an opportunity for himself. He really is he's an okay finisher. He'll get on the end of a cross and then score a goal every now and then.
He's just like a CPU striker on Pro Clubs, like just kind of like finish, like hit a brace real quick, like for the one time.
He'll play absolutely awful, but like randomly get a goal or two.
Exactly.
But which is valuable, to be fair. That's not a bad thing. You are a striker. You're supposed to score goals, but at the same time, he scored maybe 5 goals for us this season across all competitions. Yeah, for me, he's just not good enough for Arsenal Football Club, in my opinion. So I agree. I'm gonna give him a 4.
Yeah.
Last but not least, as we finish off these player ratings, Alexander Lacazette, club's top goal scorer this season, was 17 across all competitions. I thought he had a good year. He's another guy for some reason. Like I just said, he's kind of similar to Pepe. Like he just randomly will get benched.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is he on the bench and this certain dude is playing over him? I thought he was a lot better than Aubameyang this year. And if we're being real, I feel like Lacazette should have been playing in the big games over Aubameyang because that's one thing about Lacazette too. He scores in big games. I'm gonna give Lacazette. I'm gonna judge him based on the games that he played, so I'm gonna give him a 7.
I'm gonna go with an 8, just because, like you said, like the goal contributions were definitely there.
This is actually, I think, his most prolific season from a goal contribution standpoint. And he actually won Player of the Season for us 2 years ago. And I'm pretty sure this season he scored more goals than he did when he won that. Now, to be fair, I'm pretty sure he also had almost 10 assists that season too, and he only had a few assists this year. But still, I think he's very underrated. I don't get the hate that he gets. It's kind of similar to Pepe. I don't understand the hate that he gets. It's because he's not fast, and every now and then he will do some shit like the Slavia Prague when he was through on goal, and he had 70 years to try and finish it off, and he hits it off the post. That was very frustrating. But overall, I think he's a good player and still has something to give for this team. So, player of the season, who's yours?
I think the fan favorite pick would be Bukayo Saka. A lot of the fan base definitely rates him very high, and a lot of people feel the same way that we do about him. Definitely carried the weight of the team for most of the season. And I mean, definitely when he was on the field, he was really exciting to watch, really fun guy to watch. Pepe is personally my favorite player to watch in the squad, but non-biased, Saka was the best player for us all around. So I'll go with Saka on that one. With Pepe as a close second, and I'll probably say Pepe is our most improved player. Not our best, but most improved.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nicolas Pepe. I know it's unpopular.
Really?
I think Saka was really, really good the first half of the season. I think Pepe was really, really good the second half of the season. And so I put them together and I look at their stats. Pepe has better numbers. I'm going to go with the guy that has better numbers. People will say, oh, you're going to judge him on the full season. Well, I am. Saka didn't play that good the second half of the season. Maybe not the second half, the last quarter of the season. He really wasn't that good. Pepe, when he played, was good. Almost every single game that he played.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault that he hasn't been played. Now, I do take that into account. He probably only played 30 appearances compared to Saka, who probably played 45. Maybe not 30 for Pepe, maybe 35. But he definitely probably had 10 less appearances than Saka, and I do take that into account. But I'm gonna give Nicolas. I thought he finished the season so good, and as much as a fan, I wanted the season to be over with because it was just a dreadful year. For his sake, I kind of wish the season would have went on a few more weeks because he was scoring a goal or two every single game.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really look forward to how he kicks on starting off next season. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go hit with him as our with my player of the season, and I mean, like you said, he's probably my most improved player as well. Yeah, I mean that's let's give a little newcomer of the season. Now let's go between Gabriel,
Okay.
um, Martin Odegaard. Emil Smith Rowe technically isn't new, but he really started becoming a regular player this season. So let's put him in there, and
More like rookie of the year.
yeah, and Willian because he's a
Oh
new
my
player.
god.
Between those four, who you
Should
go
we do
with?
like
Just give me your
should
number
we do
one.
like elimination? Just like cut them out one by one. Well, first off, Willian, get him off the fucking screen, and get him out of my club. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Emil Smith Rowe. I think, like you said, definitely made a huge difference when he came on. He's one of those guys like when he's on the pitch with like Saka and Pepe, they're really exciting to watch all together. And I feel like he's definitely like looking forward to like next season. Definitely a guy who can like take us to that next level, bring us back to top four. Um, Definitely very exciting just to think about like that group there. So
Yeah,
Emil for me is newcomer of the year.
I agree. I'm going Emil Smith Rowe as well. I
I think
was
that was an
tempted.
easy one.
I actually thought about Gabriel for a second because I think it is underrated that we had the third best defense in the Premier League this year, which is probably the best defense we've had in 7, 8 years. Because that was always a problem under Arsene Wenger. We actually scored a ton of goals, but we always just got a ton of goals also scored on us. So I thought about Gabriel, but he did kind of have a dip in form for a couple of months, whereas Smith Rowe, when he was in the team, he might have had a few bad games, but if he'd had one bad game, he'd come back the next game and play really, really well, and then play the next 4 games really well. So Smith Rowe is my newcomer, and I really look forward to how he does next season.
Easy money.
So let's quickly run through this. We're going to give our keeper sell or loan. We'll throw that in there. I don't think it'll apply to too many guys. But keeper sell. Do you want to keep them for next year? You want to sell them, or the possibility of even loaning them? Burnt Leno.
Keep. I'm gonna run with them for now.
Yeah, I'm saying keep as well. I think that's pretty simple for me. Runar Alex Runnerson.
Sell, cut, release, whatever you want to do with
100%
them.
sell. Even if, like you said, even if we release him for nothing, just get his wage bill off.
Yeah.
He's just not that good. Matt Ryan, would you like to see us get him back from Brighton, or just move on to another keeper?
It's easy to say like sell or like loan out just because like it's just a backup keeper, but like I was saying earlier, I think he was like really valuable to us when he like did play for Leno. So I'll say keep. I think he's a
Yeah,
solid
I
backup.
think we should definitely try and get him on a permanent transfer from Brighton this year. I think he's a guy you can get for 5 million probably, and he'll be a really strong, solid backup.
Everyone seems to like him too.
Yeah, he said he grew up an Arsenal fan too, so he obviously cares about the club. So yeah, for me that's a no brainer. I think he'd be one of the better backup goalies in the league in my opinion. And so he's a guy that when he was put into the team, I wasn't like worried at all, which is a good feeling when you put in a backup goalkeeper and it's like, all right, cool, he'll do a job. Hector Bellerin,
So
sell 100%. He's played at Arsenal. Thanks for the service. Thanks for your service. Won us what 3 FA Cups? I don't think he was part of the 13-14, but he was a part of the 14-15 and then 16-17 and then this past season last season, not this past season, but the season before that. Won us 3 FA Cups. Had a really promising career at the beginning and it kind of just petered out. Yeah, sell someone we could probably get a little bit of money for as well. So yeah, definitely sell. Kieran Tierney.
definitely.
Yeah,
No.
I want to loan him. Yeah, no, keep. Don't even need to talk about it. Keep. Gabriel, once again, pretty easy for me. Keep.
I'm gonna say keep as well.
Yeah. Rob Holding.
Not sure if it would really benefit him to like loan him out at this point in his career,
Yeah.
but I also don't really see the point in selling him necessarily. I mean, I don't really know how much you really get out there for him, and I mean, he's not a bad like guy to keep on the roster. I mean, I don't know. We can keep him around, I guess.
I'm gonna say keep, and my main reason there's two main reasons. I think number one, he's like a good fourth center. If he's like the fourth best center back you have, that's fine. He's good enough to be your fourth best center back. When guys are hurt, when you need him to come in, he'll do a job. Now you don't want him to be a starter, like I said, but if he's like kind of down that depth chart, the second string, third string center back, I'm completely fine with that. And number two, he's English. He's a homegrown player. You have to have a certain amount of homegrown players. And so he's a guy that is good enough, in my opinion, plus that English part to him, which helps you meet that quota for homegrown players. So yeah, definitely keep in mind, and he's a good solid squad player. Cedric. What are you saying? Keep or sell?
I'm gonna say so.
Sell.
Just I mean, I rated him pretty decently, but just because I kind of want them to bring in like someone like maybe more like defensively sound, someone maybe like younger, someone with some fresher legs. I don't know.
See, I'm gonna say keep. I think that he's a solid backup. He's kind of like Rob Holding. I think you get rid of Hector Bellerin and go get a new right back, and Cedric can be a backup to him. I'm gonna keep him because he is a guy that, yes, he did have a few bad performances at left back, but he can also play left back if something dire is happening in your squad and he has to play there. He's a Portuguese international. He has a lot of experience in the Premier League. Yeah, I'd keep him, to be honest with you. Calum Chambers, what are you saying?
Say keep. I think he's a solid backup.
Yeah, I agree. Another one of those squad players. Two things with him. Once again, like Rob Holding, he's English, homegrown player. And number two, he can play right back, he can play center back, and play defensive mid. That's pretty valuable, especially to a club like Arsenal that has a history of fucking being hospital FC. So you might need a guy like that that can cover in multiple positions. So yeah, I'm saying keep for Calum Chambers. Pablo Mari.
So I don't know. I don't rate him too high.
I'm gonna give him one more season.
One more.
Yeah, because we've only seen one full season out of him. I thought he was okay. He's not very quick, which is a little bit worrying for me, especially in the Premier League. But I think besides that, he's a pretty solid center back. He's physically, and he's like 6'3", a big dude, and he reads the game pretty well. So yeah, I'm gonna say keep. I thought that I'm keeping most of the guys in defense because I thought our defense was decent this year. I don't really think we need to maybe add one or two players to that defense, but I thought for the most part it was pretty solid. So I'm gonna keep him around. I think he's kind of like Rob Holding. He's a good backup. I'm fine with him. David Luiz, obviously don't really need to do anything for him because he is leaving. Would you have kept him though?
Only because of his age, I probably would have said so. But given the fact that like he probably was like our best, I mean, honestly, he was our best defender this year.
Yeah. Hey, like I said earlier, I think I maybe would have kept him for an extra season, just because I thought he was really consistent. And seems like a leader, seems like a good guy in the locker room.
I mean, hell yeah! But say like his legs are still there. Like
yeah, that's one thing though to keep in mind too is that he randomly at the end of the season started getting like these injuries. Like he get an injury, come back from and get another injury. So maybe it's just his time. He's like 34, 35 years old. He has a lot of miles in those legs. He might just be running down. So maybe it was they might have made the right decision by letting him go. Let's go to the number sixes. Danny Cevallos. Would you like to get him back from Real Madrid?
Fuck no. I think he's gone. Yeah. I know he's gone. And he's not somebody I would pay to keep around. So.
Yeah, neither would I. It's simple. You asked me this 6 months ago, I probably would have said, yeah, let's go ahead and get him, have him come be a squad player for us. But now, hell no. See you later. Mohamed El Neni, keep or sell?
Oh, keep.
I agree. Good, solid squad player.
Fucking
yeah, definitely keep for me. I forgot to mention this dude, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Do you want to keep or sell him? Or loan him again, I guess. There's a few guys I forgot to go over with on our loans from our defense, so I'll just run through those real quick.
I'm going to say keep, but definitely want him to like kind of get his head out of his ass, and hopefully he can turn things around and not like keep bitching about not playing the midfield.
You see, for me, I already said keep Cedric, keep Chambers, and I want us to bring in a right back. So if you keep Maitland-Niles, that's 4 right backs. That's way too much. And I think we could get like
left too, then, right?
Yeah, but he's not going to give you anything attack. I'd be okay with him playing left back against like Man City when he's just going to defend.
Yeah,
but he's not really going to do anything attack wise. I think you get like 15 million for him, and so that's why I say sell. I just, for whatever reason, he doesn't seem like a guy that will. he doesn't want to take that right back position and run with it, and I think his opportunity is coming past. So I'm gonna say sell. Ziyad Kolasinac, keeper sell.
So
Yeah, 100%. I'm not even gonna go into that. I don't even know if you know much about him because I don't even know if he's played while you've been a fan.
I literally have no idea what the
Okay,
fuck
so
that is.
maybe I'll just do this myself. Constantinos Mavropanos had a really good season apparently in Germany for Stuttgart on loan. Um, Sell him to him. I've seen him play for Arsenal. He seems like a okay player. He had a few games where he looked really really good. Like I remember against Man United like 3 years ago. It was his first ever appearance actually, and he played great. And then he had like a couple other games where it's like, what the fuck are you doing? He had like a bad red card in another game. He played good apparently though for Stuttgart, so sell him to him. Get 10 million if you can. Get the money, run with it. William Saliba, obviously, we bought him from Saint Etienne in 2019, then loaned him back to Saint Etienne for that season. Then he was supposed to come here and play this year, but Arteta for some reason didn't like him and sent him on loan again to Nice. But he'll be coming back next year. You want to keep him or sell him?
Oh, I want to keep him.
100%.
I want to see him get his opportunity in the club. I thought it was really stupid that
Yeah.
Arteta didn't give him his chance this year. I thought this was a great year for him to get his opportunity. Um, Looking at the link up play there with Gabriel and David Luiz, I think maybe it kind of worked out for the best because I mean he did Saliba did well over there in France this year. I mean, so like, he had a good year. He got to develop more, mature a little bit more. I know he's doing some weird stuff in the locker room, but I want to see him get his opportunity with Arsenal still.
Yeah, I don't really understand why the fuck he didn't even get a chance. He played in like one preseason game and then didn't play the rest of the preseason and never played during the season either. Arteta just never played him.
No,
I don't understand. Arteta seems like with certain players, he'll just be fed the fuck up with them and just never play them again. It's weird. Um, I remember at St. Etienne a couple of seasons ago, it was him and Wesley Fofana, who was at Leicester this season and was one of the best center backs in the Premier League. Saliba was the higher rated prospect out of those two. People were saying Saliba was the French Van Dyke. He's still only, I think, like 19 or 20 years old. For me, him and Gabriel are my center back pairing of the future for the next maybe 8, 10 years, if everything works out good. Um, I keep 100%. Arteta has to give him a chance. I don't care if he looks ass in training. I don't care if he looks. I don't give a shit. Put him out there on the field, on the pitch, in games. Because when he was at Saint Etienne, he was really, really good, and when he was at Nice this season, he was really, really good. So obviously, he's a pretty damn good player, and he's another one of those more modernized center backs that is number one good with the ball at his feet, and number two, he's like Gabriel. He's a big dude. I think he's like 6'4", but he's quick. He's an athletic dude as well. And those are the kind of guys you need in today's football, especially at the top level. So definitely keep. Um, Now let's move back into the midfield. Kind of got off distracted there. Forgot to include our loanies in the defense, but let's move back into the midfield, and we're going to start off with loanies. Pick back up with loanies. Let's go Lucas Torreira. Obviously,
so
yeah, on loan to Atletico Madrid. I don't really think he did much for Atletico Madrid this year.
other than win the league,
Yeah, he got a trophy. But yeah, I agree. Sell. I thought he was good for us. I thought he was good for us for a couple of seasons, especially his first season. But then I thought he kind of started to. I don't. He started to kind of go down in his form. I think part of that just has to do with the guy's 5'5", playing defensive mid in the Premier League. At some point, you're just physically not capable of doing that in the Premier League. Maybe if he was like a winger or like a fullback, that might work. But in the midfield, against some of these big ass dudes you have in the midfield and other teams, I just don't think it works for him. And he's not like super quick and fast to make up for that lack of size. So I think he's a decent player, but yeah, I think you gotta sell him on. Matteo Guendouzi.
so
Yeah, I think he's extremely immature. I think he's a guy that has a lot of talent, but he's extremely immature. Unai Emery, um, I think he even mentioned that a couple of times. Arteta had a falling out with him, and that's why he eventually got loaned to Hertha Berlin this season. And Hertha Berlin's coach said something about it. He said he's like a guy going through puberty. It's like he just has mood swings. He's immature. At some point, I think he's like 22 now. At some point, you got to grow the fuck up and become a professional. And I think we get 15 to 20 million for him. Unfortunately, if he didn't have the attitude problem, he could honestly play here because I think he has a lot of talent, or we could probably get 30, 35 million for him because he's young, he's French, and he's got good talent. But I think because of those attitude problems, you're not going to get as much money for him, but I'll take the 15, 20 million and go. And it looks like there was a team in France, I think that's pretty interested in him. I saw that report. Marseille, yeah. I think they said like they want to pay 15 million for him, but if we get 20, I'll be pretty satisfied with that. Joe Willock, keep or sell? This one is tough for me.
So I'm looking at this from the financial state of the club because you want to go out there and you want to make moves this summer.
Well, and we know that the Cronkies won't invest shit.
You already know
so you have to self-fund.
They're not going to put shit into the club. I say you sell them to Newcastle. You milk them for what you can get out of them. Probably like 30 million realistically, and like use that to help fund your summer transfer window.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Joe Willock might have found his level at a place like Newcastle. I don't know if it's the pressure at Arsenal. I don't know if it's because the style of football we play isn't the way that fits him. I think he's an okay player. I think maybe he comes back to Arsenal next season and plays fucking great, and he turns into the black Frank Lampard. Maybe he turns into that. I don't know. Maybe he turns into Arsenal's Frank Lampard, but I don't see it. I think it'd be best for both sides. We sold Alex Iwobi to Everton for 35 million. I would try to at least get 35 million from Newcastle. I think they said like 25 or 30 million anyways. So negotiate him up to 35 million. Let him help fund some of these other transfers and guys you want to go after. And thank you for going on loan and upping your stock by 25 million pounds. So
I love you, Joe.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And go put that money into buying Yves Bissouma from Brighton, because apparently you can get him for 30 million. If we can basically sell Willock and that money funds Bissouma, I'm jumping for joy if that happens.
That's easy money.
All right, Granite Jacka, keep or sell?
I would like to keep, but I keep hearing all the things about how he's probably going to be leaving this summer. I know Mourinho wants to bring him into Roma.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say keep, but I'm thinking they're going to sell. But I'm going to keep selling.
I'm going to say I think that this is probably his best season he's had from a consistency standpoint. But he is 28 or 29. If we get Bissouma, our starting lineup will be Bissouma and Partey at that holding double pivot spot.
Mm.
And at that point, do you want to keep Granit Xhaka around? I think that could, number one, that could upset him, and he could be unhappy, and that could affect his play. And then, his value will drop because of that. And number two, I know Roma's wanting to get him for 15 million, but I think we could get him to pay us 20 million for him. And at 29 years old, I'd take 20 million for Xhaka and go go get Bissouma, and then maybe get another younger midfielder to come in and kind of replace that spot on the bench. So yeah, I say sell. Thanks for your service, but it's time to move along. Last but not least, in the holding midfield, Thomas Partey.
I'll say keep. I thought it was like a disappointing season for him, but I do see there is talent there. It's not like he was just awful. Like, he's good. He's a good midfielder. Disappointing season for sure. Like, didn't live up to the hype, but like, you never know. Next season he can come out. Maybe it's the fans. Maybe he needs the fans in the crowd. Maybe
one of his best performances was that game in front of fans.
Exactly. So maybe he needs the fans in the crowd. It's obvious that there will be fans back in the stands next season. They're already starting to come back. So I don't know. Hell, I'd say keep. Give him another year. Let him play in front of some fans and see what he thinks.
Yeah, I don't even second guess this. 100% keep. I think he'll take a step forward next season. I think one of the main reasons he didn't play as great this year is because of injuries. And I'm hoping that he's over that kind of little injury deal that he had with his hamstring. And I think he's going to be good next season, especially if you go out and get a Bissouma to put beside him. He now all of a sudden knows that he has a really, really good defensive mid behind him. So he can be more risky. He can venture forward more. He can be more creative. I think you'll see the better side of him if you get a guy like that to put next to him. So 100% keep for me.
Oh, yeah.
Attacking midfielders, Smith Rowe, Keep. Nothing else to say. It would be idiot unless someone comes in with 60 million. Keep him.
Yeah.
Martin Odegaard.
I'll say keep for the right price though.
How much would you pay for him?
35.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I want him back. If you can get another loan, cool. Maybe with like a loan with an obligation or option to buy at the end of the loan, or if we can get him for 30 million, I'd be cool with that. I don't know if I want to pay much more than 30 million. If we paid 35, like you said, I wouldn't be like I won't be upset with that. But if once it gets like 40 or 50, nah, let's move somewhere else. There's talks about Emi Buendia from Norwich City for like 30 million or so.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good player that's been linked with us in the past. So if Real Madrid want more than that for Odegaard, just get Buendia instead. But I like Odegaard. I think he's I mean I want us to keep him, to be fair. Wingers. Let's start off with Bukayo Saka.
I'm gonna say keep.
Yeah, keep. It's kind of like Smith Rowe. If someone comes in with like 80 million for Saka, maybe entertain it, but yeah, keep.
Get him up to 90.
Yeah, get him up to triple digits. Gabriel Martinelli.
Keep.
Keep as well for me. Reece Nelson.
Sell.
For me, I'm gonna go loan because he still is only 20 or 21 years old.
Okay.
Send him on loan. See if he does really well, because this isn't even like me saying, oh, if he goes on loan and does really well, he can come back and play good for us. It might be a Willock situation.
I was surprised he didn't even go on loan this year. Like, he was one of those guys we were looking through.
I was too. Oh, because we had enough cover in that spot.
Yeah, it was around that window. We were like, who we think's gonna get loaned out? Who's gonna stay in? We were like,
I think they did say that they tried to loan him, or they were trying to look for people to loan him to, but he himself said that he wanted to stay.
So he's just
stupid. Which he maybe played once or twice since that January window. Yeah. So that was just dumb. I want to see him get loaned.
Wasn't it like Wolves? I think we tried to loan him to.
I don't even remember. It was somebody in the Premier League, though. I'm pretty sure.
Like Wolves or like another bottom.
Yeah, bottom half table. Yeah. I want to see him get loaned. He's still only 20 or 21 years old. You could loan him, and it could be a Willock situation where if we sold him right now, we'd probably get 5, maybe max 10 million for him. And if he goes out on loan and plays well, you could come back and you could sell him for 30 million. So I'm gonna definitely say loan for Reece Nelson. I want to see if he can go somewhere else and do his thing elsewhere. Willian.
Bye.
Goodbye, good sir. Moving along. Nicholas Pepe. Keep 100%. I think he'll take another step forward next season.
That's my next jersey if they sell him.
Oh, I actually ordered. Well, I got one ordered for me the other day. Little birthday present. The new away shirt for next season will be number 19 and Pepe on the back.
Damn, that's one I was gonna get.
Hey, fuck it.
Fuck it. Yeah,
moving on to strikers, Eddie Nketiah.
I guess loan.
See, for me, he's been loaned a couple of times, and he just did okay. I think you get 15 million for him, sell him. I just don't think he has a future at this club. If he goes on loan, I don't know how much he's going to increase his stock. Just sell. No offense to the guy, I just don't think he's good enough for Arsenal Football Club. Like I said, I think he could go to like a bottom half table team and do a good job for them, but I just don't think he's good enough for this team. If we can get 15 million for him, I'll take it and run with it. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, keep or sell?
No, keep.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously disappointing season, but I mean, what's to say he doesn't turn around and bring back last year's form this year?
Yeah, I still think there's a top striker in there. For whatever reason, he had an off season. It happens to people. It doesn't happen to Lionel Messi, but he's an alien, so it's what it is. It is what it is. But I think Aubameyang could come back and score 20 goals again next season. I'll give him another year. Now, if he has another season like this next year, then it's probably time to move on. But for me, I'm going to keep Aubameyang for next season. All right, last but not least, Alexander Lacazette. Keeping or selling?
Keep. 100%.
This one is kind of tough for me because I kind of want to keep him, but at the same time, next season is the last year of his contract. So if he doesn't sign an extension this summer, I think you kind of have to sell him because then you could run the risk of losing him for nothing the next summer. And I think right now, if you sold him this summer, you could probably get 20 million for him. So I'm going to say maybe he gets that because there was talks they're going to offer him a 1-year extension. If he gets that extension, keep him. If he doesn't get that extension, though, we got to sell him. You don't want to lose out on $20 million. He's not the kind of player that if we sell him, he's not. It's not like he's irreplaceable. You can go out and buy a striker and replace him. So I'm gonna say keep, but if he does not sign that extension, we have to sell him. It's pretty straightforward. And last but not least, before we get out of here, we forgot to give Mikel Arteta his rating. What's your rating for him for old Mikel this season?
4.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 4 as well. No trophy. That obviously downgrades it. 8th in the league. That downgrades it. But at the same time, we were 3rd in the league. That's obviously the season starts in August. This past year, because COVID started like in September, or October, but it starts in August. It's 38 games, not 20 games. But we were 3rd in the league from Christmas until the end of the season. We were 2nd in the league from the beginning of 2021 to the end of the season. So there was clear improvement. The Europa League debacle kind of puts it kind of erases that from some people's like memory, but we have improved, and hopefully he's got to hit the ground running next season. So I think if like November rolls around and we're sitting in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, he'll probably get sacked, and rightfully so. But yeah, I still kind of believe in him, but he's got to prove me right and prove some of these doubters wrong. But yeah, not a great season. I'm gonna give him a 4, just like you. All right, that is it for the Arsenal season review. I did not expect this to be an hour and 15 minutes long. I was like, oh, it's going to take 45 minutes. But it is now 1:30 a.m. We had some shit to cover. I don't even really think we did anything over the top. We just kind of talked about what we had to talk about. Not a good season, not where we want to be as a club. One of the lowest points this club has been since the mid '90s. Gotta get back at it next season. Got to get back into that top 4. Make some good signings this offseason, and I think we can get top 4 if you make a few signings in the right places. Hopefully the Cronkies either dip into their pockets or they fuck off and sell it to Daniel Ek. But something's got to happen. It doesn't seem like the manager's going to change for this offseason. It doesn't seem like the owners are going to change. So we've got to add the right players. And then the players that are here, guys like Aubameyang, guys like Thomas Partey, some of those guys have got to play better next season than they did this year. They got to step it up. And we also got to get some luck. We didn't have any luck this season, whether it was our own doing or the fact the referees fucking despise us. But we've got to do better next season. Top 4 is the goal. We've got to at least show some kind of improvement next year. And yeah, we go again. So appreciate everyone that tuned in to this review. If you are new to the show, to the podcast, we do weekly podcasts on the Premier League, the Big Six in particular, as well as US Men's National Team if you are a US Men's National Team fan. So tune in there. It's obviously on this network, Close Yanks podcast. We release those episodes every single Monday. We get heavy into the Arsenal talk. So we get 2 of the 3 guys on the podcast are Arsenal fans. So if you're only here on an Arsenal basis, we do talk heavily about the Arsenal in every single podcast, regardless. So check us out there. Check out our main episodes. We release those every single Monday. And yeah, follow us on social media. If you're hearing this for the first time, look up Clueless Yanks on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. We're on all of those social media sites. And yeah, appreciate everyone that tuned in. And like I said, catch us this upcoming Monday with a regular podcast release.
We'll see you later. Sayonara.
Take it easy, everyone.